Hi there. Good morning. Wanted to talk a little bit about what makes a good real estate deal. Um, it's more of a general question, and everybody wants to get a good deal. But I wanted to talk to you about how to get a good deal on a home when you're looking to buy a house. Welcome to my backyard. I'm not on vacation. This is where I live. This is where I dwell. And my name is Matthew Hoffman. I am the real estate broker extraordinaire. You can find me on Instagram at broker.extraordinaire, and you can find me online at hoffhomesla.com. I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and like this video and share it, of course, with anybody that you know and care about that might want some good information on real estate, because this is going to be somewhat of a more general conversation than anything specific about a particular market. So a couple things to look for when my clients are looking for a new home and I'm searching the MLS listings. Let's talk about that first. Let's talk about on-market versus off-market. I find plenty of off-market deals in the world, but every home is different and every home is unique and special like a snowflake. So just because a home might be off-market doesn't necessarily make it a better opportunity than a different home. So to sort of dispel the notion that, if you get something off-market, it's going to be a better deal, not always the case. Sometimes, and it removes the competitive aspect of things oftentimes, but at the same time, every home is unique and special, and it's very possible to find good deals that are on the market. And what I wanted to talk today specifically is about how to find a good deal for a home that might be on the market. So what I look for when I go on to the listings is one of the first things that I do after I peruse a list of homes and after I look at some of the pictures and see what's out there, maybe narrow it down to the homes that I think are at least, within reason of what I might be interested in or what my clients might be interested in based on location and price and that kind of thing. One of the first things I look at is days on market. How long has the house been for sale? And in some cases, that number can be a tricky little number. Because perhaps the house was on the market and then they took it back off and then they just brought it back on the market, which is not the same as a house that's brand new on the market and hasn't been listed recently or in its current iteration, because some homes can be flipped, and so they'll return to market shortly after the time that they were last sold, but they're a whole different house at that point. So the first thing, and something that's very important to look for, it doesn't have to be the first thing, is your days on market. All right? And when you look at days on market, you have to understand that there is a psychology that goes along with, the process of selling a home for a homeowner and a seller specifically. And where that seller is within that process oftentimes dictates where their mindset might be, or at least how negotiable or how flexible they might have become about their home. And when I say that, what I'm referring to is, let's go through the psychology and the life cycle, if you will, of being a seller. You've decided to put your house on the market. You've maybe interviewed some agents, or you've listed it with somebody that you're confident in, and you guys are having a conversation about what the price should be that you're going to list the home for, and you guys look at the comps, and you put the house on the market. And regardless of whatever the price is that you've gone to market with for a seller, the reality is that you have the highest of hopes at that point. You are hoping that your home sells quickly, especially coming out of a real estate, the real estate markets that we've been in, where the sellers have had the majority of the advantages. A seller usually has the expectations that their home is going to sell quickly. And not the expectation necessarily, but the hope. And so when they bring their house on the market, most sellers, in many cases, I shouldn't say most, in many cases, sellers have a very high opinion of their home. Their home is special to them, and they know all the reasons why their home might be better than even their next door neighbor's home, which might be very, very similar. So there's a psychology that goes along with this, and sometimes that seller is correct, and sometimes it's a wonderful house, and the market agrees, and that house gets offers immediately, and it goes right into escrow. If I'm representing a buyer, unless you are extremely attracted to that house, and we feel that there are not going to be other homes like that available that share the similar qualities that you are most attracted to about that home, then in my suggestion would be to try to find other similar homes that have not just hit the market, so that you could potentially deal with a seller who has spent a bit more time going through the experience of having their home on the market, and as a result, they're going to be more negotiable, or more open, or more excited about an offer that you might want to submit. So then let's go into the psychology of the buyer for a moment. Where are the buyers coming from? Every buyer wants to get a good deal. I've never met someone that didn't want to get a good deal on the home that they were buying. Everybody wants to get a good deal. And everybody has a different opinion of what a good deal is. So that's very important as a real estate agent for me to at least understand what you think a good deal is, because a good deal to you might be very different than what I believe a good deal to be is. And again, that all comes from different perspective, because we all have different priorities in mind when we're buying a home. So as a realtor, it's important for me to understand where you're coming from and what the things are that are most important to you about your next home and where you're going to live. And as I think we can all attest to, priorities have changed in the last few years dramatically, and things that were important to people in the past are much more important to them today than they were before, and vice versa. So getting back to that psychology of the buyer and how they approach trying to go at getting a good deal, you have to understand where you're coming from. You have to have a reasonable mindset for what's really happening in the market. And so that's what a seller who has had their house on the market has experienced. They've had open houses, they might have had offers, and they've had some activity, or they've had no activity. And if they've had no activity, then if you come in with an offer, they're going to probably be a lot more inclined to negotiate with you. And their agent will hopefully say to them or encourage them to at least negotiate with you if you guys aren't on the same page with price. Because let's get down to it. At the end of the day, it all comes down to price. And that's what real estate, is all about. Location, 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 and price. And so as a buyer, to get a good deal, you have to have your mindset appropriate for what the comps are in the neighborhood. And you have to understand what a good value is. And there's a lot of different things that make up a good value. And there are also terms that help make a deal a good deal or a bad deal. Maybe you need 30 days, extra to close escrow. Maybe the seller needs more time at the close of escrow to stay in the home. If you're willing to do that, that might make the deal a better deal for the seller than even some of the components of the price. So getting back to what makes it a good deal. So let's go back to what I first talked about, those days on market. That goes to the psychology of the seller and the things we've talked a little bit about, some of the things that he might have experienced. I tried to give you a little bit of perspective on, where his mindset, his or her mindset might be, what their mindset may be for the sale of their home. And so when I'm trying to find a good deal, I try to find homes that have been on the market for a little while. And when I say a little while, that number can also fluctuate depending on each individual market. Because in the Los Angeles, market, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, those are dramatic differences in days on market for our local market. However, for other areas of the country, 30 days may just be the average of what homes that sell quickly sell for. So once again, you have to have good perspective on what's happening in the actual market that you're looking for a home in is. But you go after homes that have been on the market for a little while and the sellers have gone through the life cycle of what it's like to be a seller. And then the next thing that you look for when you're trying to find a good deal is location, location, location. Something that's very important that you might not be doing when you're looking at homes that are for sale on the MLS or wherever you're seeing them, on Zillow or Redfin or from the lists that a realtor might be sending you, is it's important to, if they don't have the information right there, if it's sent from the MLS, it'll usually have a